Oh, nice and warm now.
And acclimated.
Yep.
Hey, John, are we ready?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first meeting in 2025. We had an executive session before this, and in a moment, Mr. Flegger will tell us why, but let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Virginia, roll call.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Present. Here.
Here. Present.
Here.
Thank you, Virginia. Okay, community announcements. Some good news for the residents. Per our code enforcement officer, as of 1/1/25, the borough will no longer require permits for alterations. This includes replacement of roofs, windows, and siding. So that's good news about that. We have a new website. It's www.morrisvilleborough.org. We're still trying to update information as we transfer information from the old website to the new one. So please be patient if you don't see anything. It's a work in progress, and hopefully it'll be done shortly. Some bad news. Public Works will remove 2 unauthorized stop signs and install temporary warning signs for the change in traffic patterns as recommended by the borough engineer, located at Crown Street in both the northbound and southbound travel lanes at the intersection of Crown Street and Fairview Avenues. Residential rental license permit code 400-2 adopted in 2017 to ensure residential rental properties in the borough of Morrisville meet safety standards, protect the welfare of tenants, and hold landlords accountable for rental units. A letter is being sent to all property owners on February 1st advising those with the residential rental dwellings to apply for an annual rental license and mandatory rental inspection, a $100 rental inspection fee, and if needed, there will be a $50 re-inspection fee. Our focus is that the tenants live in safe housing and provide tenants with the ability to address issues regarding their rental units. All good news for Morrisville. Community outreach. We have board openings. Please email letters of interest to office@morrisvilleborough.org. That is the correct place to do it. Please do not send to council people or to the borough manager. The correct email address is office@morrisvilleborough.org. We have the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board, Economic Development, the Environmental Advisory Corp, and the Library Board will have some openings. So I haven't put some people on or made some nominations. There have been some complaints. I have board members, people who were appointed that are there less than a year and suddenly they want to resign. They have come to me and they have told me that some of the reasons is they're yelled at, people are uncooperative, they don't like to listen to new ideas, they're rude to the office staff. So this can't happen. These are our resident committees and they're volunteers. So we should be a little nicer and friendlier to people. If they have a different viewpoint than we do, please allow them to do it. And I'm trying to figure out, and maybe council has some recommendations, should we send a letter to everyone with rules, or just reminders of how the committee should be run. One of the other ideas I had was when people are applying for these boards, perhaps they should tell us why they want to be on a certain board, because people get on these boards and then it may not be what they want. So does anybody have any opinions, thoughts?
Well, I think with a letter of interest, you should express why you're interested in joining a certain board. We're all volunteers here out there trying to move the town forward. But we also want to put the right people in the right place, and they should want to be there. And I do think it would be a good idea to send out a fresh reminder to the committees and boards that we have out there, just as a refresher, just so they know what's going on. We need to be more collaborative together in all the meetings. And like Helen had said, if you have a different point of view, it's okay. It should be celebrated. We should be able to sit down and have a healthy conversation and work towards a resolution. So if you are interested in joining any of these, please send your letter of interest, but also state why you're interested in that. What would you like to get out of that committee or board?
I'd like to also add, doing any of this kind of work, it's not easy. Whether you're sitting up here on the days or you're in a committee, if you've taken up your time away from what you would normally do during that time slot, it's hard to join into any group. Whether you're looking at it as time away from what you would otherwise do, or because you don't know the individuals who are already a part of it. But we're all neighbors one way or another. We're all adults, and I think it's really important, whatever role any of us takes, whether you've been there or you're new, that we give everyone a voice, that we give everyone an opportunity to speak and express themselves. We do not have to get along, or let me say it this way, I'm sorry. We do not have to agree, but we do have to get along. Again, I want to reiterate, while it's not easy, it is important work. We live here. This is our town. And while we all have opinions, it is important that we give everyone a chance to express it. How we move beyond that, we won't know without hearing what has to be said. So I find it very disappointing to hear how many people have joined some of the groups, some of the committees, and quit. I know it's hard. If you need a voice, I volunteer. You can give me a call and we could talk about it. And let's figure out a way forward. But I'd hate for people who have taken the time to volunteer to feel like they can't do the job only because they're not being heard. So let's talk about it. Let's figure it out before you quit, because this work is important.
Please wait for a call from whomever you...
I'm sorry. Okay. Are you done? Yeah, I'm done.
I'm sorry for the interruption. Luke is here, but he's on the phone, so I'm trying to get him. My bad.
While Helen's doing that, getting Luke on the phone, I interrupted her, and I apologize for your flow, but our new website, the morrisvilleborough.org, the borough is spelled B-O-R-O
Hey, Luke.
.org, just so everyone knows out there.
Call you earlier. Okay. We didn't take any votes yet. Okay. So Virginia, he's here. Okay, so we have a nomination for MMA board. We have a letter of interest from Matt Wiedenhafer. Does anybody want to make a nomination? Yeah.
I'll nominate Matt.
Okay, we have a nomination for Matt Wiedenhafer.
Expression of interest from me, send it to Mr. Dillon, Mr. Lorenzo, and a copy to you for the MMA board.
So all letters are due. If you look at the bottom of the agenda, it says it's due the Monday beforehand, and
Sent it about 2 weeks ago. You have a copy.
you sent it on the last Tuesday, so you missed the deadline.
Good for you, Ellen.
Okay, we have a nomination for Matt Wiedenhafer. Does anybody, do we do roll call? Virginia, roll call? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Dennis King,
Yes.
Andrew Lubin,
No.
and Luke McKee.
So I just want to say, Andrew, there are deadlines for these letters, and it wouldn't be fair to residents if we excluded or included your letter when it was past the deadline, when we held the same standards for residents. So I'm very sorry that we couldn't include it, but we do have rules, and everyone has to abide by those rules.
Thank you.
Okay, so we passed 7-1, so welcome Matt to the MMA board. So council discussions, the PA State Constable providing enforcement services. Council should decide whether they are interested in looking into and directing or asking the mayor to work with the chief to see if this is a solution to some problems in using some of the constables to do some ordinance enforcements. So the PSAB had a letter, and the mayor has that. And I guess, does anybody on council have any issues with the mayor and the chief looking into it and then getting back to us with a recommendation? Okay. Okay, Mayor, are you okay with that?
Thank you all. Yes, Chief and I will sit down and discuss, and then we'll bring it to council. Thank you.
There is no engineering report. These roads are being, did you want something? No. The roads are being out to bid, and hopefully that they'll be closed at the end of this month, and we'll soon start paving the roads in the first and second wards. And then next year in 2026, the third and fourth wards will be done. Borough manager report, anything, Mr. Dillon?
Towards that end, we're looking at how the best way to finance the road program. So we'll have a report to council in the near future on that subject.
Solicitor report, and could you also explain what we did in executive session?
Yeah, I'm going to do that first.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. We met an executive session for about 45 minutes prior to this meeting, at which time we discussed litigation, threatened litigation, police arbitration matters, real estate, and personnel issues. Thank you, Madam President.
Else that you have?
I have nothing further at this time.
Okay, great. Police chief report. Welcome, Chief Ciampa.
How's everyone tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good to see everyone. So just very briefly, the part 1 and part 2 offenses I always talk about are basically the same for December as they were in November. There's really no change. Our arrests were about the same, and we took in just a little bit more money in fines in December than we did in November. Just to touch on a couple of things that went on last month, we had a detail at the hookah bar. I think everybody knows it was our officers in cooperation with code enforcement and the fire marshal, and we did a detail. It was December 28th from midnight to 4 a.m., and we entered a hookah bar, and the fire marshal did an inspection, code enforcement did an inspection. As a result of that, quite a few bar ordinances were issued, a couple criminal complaints, and the hookah bar has been labeled as uninhabitable. That is not because of the police department. That was because of fire and code related issues that they must correct before they can reopen. Trucks. So since we started talking about this new ordinance, we've had about 200 plus interactions with truck drivers. A lot of them in the beginning were what I call the education before enforcement phase, where we were spreading the message. I drove out to Keystone and I met with the site manager from FedEx and the keeper of Keystone. I called her. She was the woman that worked at the guard shack. She's actually a resident of Morrisville. And I reminded them, but they knew and they were very much aware of the ordinance. And they had, the site manager of FedEx told me that they've been spreading that word for months, I guess, since they got word that it was happening. So their drivers know. Since we started the enforcement phase, we have written over 100 citations. We put out 2 details. One was last Friday and one was today. So those details are 2 officers in addition to the squad that's doing nothing but truck enforcement. I did look into getting our signboard out there, but it's not working properly. It has a bunch of LED lights that are on different panels within the board, and a lot of the panels aren't working. So we were able to get it up and running, but you can't read the message because a lot of the lights aren't working. So we're going to try to work with getting it down to the public works yard and maybe take it apart. But the last couple of days, we've had a lot of snow. Their trucks are in and out, so it's a little too cold to be working on it. I did reach out to Don Santafonte last week to see if he has any signboards that we can borrow. I asked for 2 of them, one here by the bridges and one down at Keystone, and he's working on that. He was supposed to get back to me on Friday. I'm still waiting to hear from him. An update on the fingerprint machine. We had a site inspection on Friday from the Pennsylvania State Police Chiefs Association, and they approved our site. So I'm working with Virginia to get a PO to get that machine ordered and up and running. And the final update is our Tahoe should be here, I'm told, either Friday or Monday at the latest. I've been in communication with Mr. Jones from North Point, and we spoke about it a little bit today. When it comes, we'll coordinate some sort of maybe event. We can have whether a Tahoe ribbon cutting or something to that effect, but as soon as it's here, we'll make sure it's washed and shiny, and I'll put that email out so everybody knows.
Just so the residents know, North Point is funding that Tahoe, and there's no cost to the borough.
That's correct.
And I think at this point that Tahoe should get a parade, right?
No,
We've been waiting for so long for it.
We're lead the next parade. Yeah, I spoke with the upfitter as recently as Friday, and I actually spoke with my contact at Fred Beans, Dan Roberts. And there are obvious issues right now with the upfitter, and it appears that is as if he's just overworked and understaffed right now, and that's where the delay has been, in addition to a recall. But this is supposed to be fixed. We should have this car, I'll believe it when I see it, but Friday, Monday, the latest. Fred Beans told me they would drive it here personally if they had to, and we just worked today on getting it insured and getting a letter of authorization to sign for it on Friday or Monday.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's all I have.
So on the details, so each truck that goes down, it's $1,000 a pop, right?
That's what the fine is, yeah.
Now, is there a fee schedule built in for second or third or whatever offenses, or is it just a grant for each one?
To my knowledge, there's no fee schedule, and there's no, I don't believe there's discretion with the fee either. I think it's just a flat $1,000 fee, which is being met with less than acceptance from a lot of the drivers. But
in your career, have you ever handed out a ticket that you had a less than acceptance reaction from?
Very rarely. Okay. Very rarely. But, you know, as I always say, our job is not to make money. Our job is to send a message and, you know, change behaviors and create safer roads. So we're hoping that the message is sent. And, you know, I've spoken to quite a few residents in the last few weeks about this. And, you know, I always say, if you have a complaint or you see something, please call us. I can't guarantee that we're going to be on that road every single day, all day, but we're going to give it a lot of attention. And, you know, we're going to continue to put details out. The details have been very successful so far, and it's also being received pretty well in the community over there. So we'll continue to do that, continue to send the message, and hopefully it spreads and there's less truck traffic on Pennsylvania Avenue.
So I had a resident talk to me, and I don't have the note in here. I'll send it to you, Chief. But they said that it's not that you need a whole detail out there, but they said like 3 to 6 in the morning is when a lot of the trucks come trying to bypass through Morrisville.
I've had the midnights paying attention to that. I think the last I heard was about 1 o'clock in the morning it was starting, and I'll continue to have midnights monitor that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easy to do, and call permitting, but we should be able to pay more attention and address that.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of FedEx. So even though you're saying that they were tolling their drivers, there's still a lot of FedEx going up and down.
So the message I got from the site manager was write them,
Okay.
because I guess he's tired of telling them too. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
All right. And so you had two details. Did you have any in the second detail that were repeat offenders?
That I don't know. The detail was today. I don't think they had repeat offenders.
Okay.
It was a little tougher today with the snow that's out there, and
it was cold.
yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was as successful, but I don't know. The truck traffic could have been different. It was successful today. They wrote probably close to 20 ordinances today. Yeah.
So I think the only way that fine can be reduced is if our district court judge reduces it.
And from what I understand, she doesn't.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not 100% certain on that. That's what I was told, that one of the officers inquired, and she was told, and I guess she stated that the fine is what the fine is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big hit to those drivers.
It'll send a message.
It will indeed.
Yes.
It's my goal to get them off the roads or go down the proper roads, I should say.
It's our goal.
Yeah, the truck road.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions for the chief?
Thank you.
I do want to say that the hookah lounge, I don't know, can you share how many people were stuffed into that building?
I believe I could. There was a report done. It's public record. There were 99 people when we entered the building.
And what is the max?
49. And it was early in the night, so.
And I know you gave a lot of credit to zoning, which I don't want to take any credit away from them, but I also want to credit the police department because there really wasn't any major incident. No one was injured. You guys walked away unscathed. The people who were there walked away unscathed, and you got the job done.
It was
thank you.
Very successful night. Thank you. Yeah. Any others?
Chief, just one more. Chief, I want to say on behalf of my neighbors on Crown Street, we thank you and thank you. Can't thank you enough for getting this thing arranged. You, and picking up from Chief Simpson, you've made a difference in the police department, made a difference in the town, and we can see that through how the hookah bar went from being out of control to shut down. Can't thank you enough.
It's my pleasure. Like I said, a collaborative effort, but, it's what we're here for. Okay.
And thank you for those the monitoring the trucks down there. I'm sure all the residents are thrilled. Okay, agenda items. We have a consent agenda. So we have approval of council meeting minutes from 12/17/24, approval of the bill list from 12/1 to 12/31/24 in the amount of $336,916.41, approval of the Morrisville Borough Easter egg hunt, 10 a.m. to noon on Saturday, April 19th, rain or shine. It's canceled if there's a torrential downpour, and the waiver of vendor fees for tables offering giveaways to children. Approval of the Morrisville Little League Opening Day Parade, 10 a.m. Saturday, April 5th, with a rain date of Saturday, April 12th, contingent on the Little League working with the Chief of Police and Borough staff to coordinate parade routes and activities. Approval of a resolution authorizing the submission of a CDBG Community Development Block Grant application for construction of 88 PennDOT compliant curb ramps at various borough intersections. We're going for an amount of $500,000. Approval of a resolution authorizing the submission of a CDBG Community Development Block Grant application for construction of stormwater management improvements on West Palmer between Grandview Avenue and the Morrisville Morrisville Middle Senior High School, and that amount is $403,391. Approval of a resolution authorizing the submission of a CDBG Community Development Block Grant application for construction of the Manor Park parking lot located next to the Bucks County District Court Morrisville Senior Center building, and that amount is $715,721. Approval to enter in a one-year agreement with Hogue Associates to collect and submit the 2024 Recycling Performance Grant for $4,000. Melissa, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Dennis, would you second?
A second.
First and a second. Council discussion? Anything from the public? Please state your name and address.
Jane Berger, West Maple Avenue in Morrisville. On item F, I'm really glad to see this for the work, hopefully for the improvements on West Palmer Street. I just want to mention that several years ago, the MMA did a dye testing to make sure the problem wasn't because of problems with our water pipes, and that was ruled out. And we know Public Works are always filling in the craters. As you look for stormwater, one of our concerns that we couldn't verify was that there are springs throughout this borough, and that there may be a spring underneath there that's part of the problem. So I just want you to make this aware of this when you work with the engineer, that when they get the grant, they mind something more than just to deal with stormwater pipes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Anyone else? Okay, motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Action item A, call for a motion to authorize the Borough Solicitor and Zoning Officer to prepare an ordinance amendment for Chapter 400, Article 1, Rental License Permit. Marie, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Scott, would you second? Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just wondering if for the public, do we have the wording of the change?
It's just for them to prepare it. We don't have anything yet. It's just to tell them to go ahead and do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The idea is to clean up the ordinance so that it makes it more clear who must register, the process and frequency of inspections. So it'll be clear to everybody. Thank you.
Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for a motion to amend and advertise Borough Code 435-15, trucks prohibited on certain streets, to include Wright, Baker, and Coleman Avenues. And that is on the recommendation of the engineer. As we go through this, we'll probably be adding more streets as they do various studies throughout town. So for the public, this isn't because we forgot, it's that we're just trying to keep on top of it, and we can't do everything at once. So Catherine, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Andrew, would you second? Discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for motion to approve and advertise amendment to Borough Code 435-15 prohibiting municipal waste trucks on borough streets unless licensed by the borough and/or borough businesses. Dennis, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Melissa, would you second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for motion to renew the emergency medical ambulance services contract with Capital Health Systems, Inc. for a period of 3 years. Marie, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Scott, would you second? Second. Any discussion? So I just want to let everyone know, we used to have an MOU with Falls Township. They've been part of that MOU for the last 6 years. This year, suddenly they decided they didn't want an MOU. So Mr. Dillon and I are working with them to try to figure out what's going on there, but I do believe that it will be on their agenda item, whether they will have an MOU with us or not. That's about right, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why Falls Township, they provide a report to us, and as the steel mill has been increasing and as businesses are there, they have been using our ambulance squad more and more and more. So they're, I think, up to using, of all the calls that happen, 40% go to Falls Township from something that we're paying for. So it's really kind of outrageous that Falls Township isn't being a better neighbor to Morrisville Borough. Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for a motion to accept the 3-year proposal by Lopez, Teodosio, and Larkin LLC for audit services for the Borough of Morrisville as well as the Morrisville Library. Andrew, would you make the motion? Catherine, would you second? Any discussions? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for a motion to renew the 2025 service agreement with Tom Josiah Consulting, LLC, to assist with the borough accounting at a rate of $130 an hour. Marie, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Scott, would you second? Any discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Call for motion to send solicitors Flager and Associates to the February 3rd. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to take that off. We are not going to send our solicitors to oppose a zoning ordinance. The YMCA would like to expand their existing building. I think, Randy, what did you say they were? 10,000 square feet? 16?
They're at 16,855 square feet. They want to add 3,486 square feet. The ordinance allows, it's currently a non-conforming use. The ordinance allows for a special exception, which is what they're going for, meaning it's a permitted use, up to 50%. Their increase is 20%. They will have to come in for land development, however.
Okay, so that is off the agenda. Call for a motion to direct Flager and Associates to appeal zoning board decision for 406 West Bridge Street, allowing a duplex on a non-conforming lot of 7,500 square feet, whereas 9,000 square feet is required, and allowing a side yard setback of 7 feet 6 inches, whereas 10 feet would be required. Andrew, would you make the motion? Melissa, would you second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to say, I'm disappointed, and I want the public to know that what this basically means is that we've got to pay our attorneys to go someplace to speak on the behalf of the borough. We have the setbacks in place for a reason, and when a homeowner is asking for a variance, that means that they're already in a position of non-conforming use. Those setbacks are there for safety. The setbacks are there for the appeal of the property. And when a resident takes their petition to the zoning board has a chance to say yay or nay. But I know this is just my first year here. I had a lot to learn. I don't know how many folks on the zoning board knew what that meant to put us in the position, but now our tax monies have to pay for our attorneys to go forward. And I just want, I don't know if anyone from the zoning board is listening. I wish I knew where the decision came from for this. If they were unaware of what that would mean, I'd like for them to try and educate themselves on it. I'd love for them to educate me on their idea here, but I'm disappointed that the monies have to be spent.
Councilwoman, thank you for that. We were there. We educated on them. They have a right, by right, to have one unit on that property. Instead, they went for a duplex. The violation is because they split it in half, but it's not big enough to do that. And they were well aware of it, and they just, in order to have a variance, there has to be, it's the fact that they want a variance. Right, they need a variance. It has to be a hardship that you didn't make. There's no hardship here. It's their property. They could easily build one house on it, and they chose to divide it. So it's a self-made it's not, the hardship is on them. It's not,
Not on the borough, it's
so
not.
our position is that that under the law, they don't have a right to that. So, and
that's why we have the setbacks, for that very reason.
And they were aware of that. Their solicitor, I think the zoning hearing board solicitor did the best. I think she could explaining that, but they voted that way. So that's why you have to take this action now. And I'm sorry that it came to this.
I'm sorry for the residents. And neighbor to neighbor, for the zoning board, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. If it was a misunderstanding or what have you, I hope that we all recognize that, it ends up costing the residents when we have to do this. I would have rathered a discussion.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Anybody else? Anybody from the public? Please state your name.
Jane Berger, again, West Maple Avenue. I was at that zoning board hearing. I was actually not prepared for this item, but for the one that got continued, I think, until this month. I spoke. I wish I would have spoke stronger. They tried
Just to interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
So the 400 West Bridge Street has been continued to March.
Oh, till March. Okay, thank you.
Okay, but go ahead.
You don't have to worry about the first in February. But so I wasn't aware that this was coming up. And when I spoke, one of the rationales of the applicant was that we have a lot of twins in this town. And then the house was terrible. It had to come down, so they were improving it, part of their argument. When I spoke, I said that we had a lot of twins, and we have West Philadelphia, that really long stretch of, I can't recall them, townhouses today. And that a lot of that happened before there was any zoning, before there was any codes, where you could do things on very limited property lines. And we really don't want to continue that. So I was trying to defeat their argument that just because there are twins, that they should be allowed to do this. There was a resident that lives in a twin farther down on that block that spoke in favor of it. So my opinion, that might have been a thing that steered them, and also the fact that the house it's behind a lot of bushes. You really can't see it from the street. That they were doing an improvement by tearing down an abandoned, deteriorating house. My last words at the end were, I really prefer a single-family home.
Thank you, Jane. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Non-agenda public comment. We have one person, Peggy Walsh.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Walsh, Stockham Avenue. My husband and I wrote a letter to everybody on the dais right before the budget because we didn't have public hearings, but we heard that we were supposed to send email comments. So we sent this, but we never got a reply from anybody. So I would just like to read it to get it into the public record. Dear council members and interim manager Jim Dillon, we're concerned to learn that you're about to vote on a budget with no public input. In our memory, we have had public input on budgets for at least 30 years. We've learned that you are only taking email comments. So this is why we're sending this letter. Our big concern is that you have only earmarked $50,000 from what we can see for matching grants for park improvements. We wanted to know if this is for all the parks. The 2024 budget included $75,000 for matching grants, but we really can't see evidence of these improvements, and it's difficult to determine from online documents how this money was spent. We don't see them, but perhaps we're missing something. More than 2 years ago, my husband and I attended a public meeting with paid consultants to determine what 5 projects the residents most wanted to see in Williamson Park. The meeting was well attended and created a number of suggestions. To our knowledge, this report has not been publicly shared. We think it should be since we paid for it. The one consulting fee we should invest in, we think, is to search for our own borough manager. We certainly appreciate Mr. Dillon's generous help for our borough, but he has his own borough and cannot devote the kind of time needed to manage our borough. The months have gone by with no evidence of a search. Maybe you are searching and we just don't know about it, but we find this concerning. Our hope is that you'll move forward with some more transparency and, I don't know, like reaching back to residents who email all of you, and especially listen to the overwhelming residential support for Vital Park. With walking paths, more benches, and other enhancements, we should really build on one of our biggest strengths, which is our park. And then we've heard rumor mill, of $1 million to be spent on Patriots Park. While I have no objection to doing something with Patriots Park, $1 million seems extravagant, especially since nothing seems to be happening in Williamson Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay.
I just have one quick question. Peggy, when did you say you sent that? When did you say you sent the email?
Well, I sent it a couple of months ago because it was right before you did the budget, and there were no public hearings, so we were told to send emails. So that's when I sent it.
So
Maybe a month and a half ago.
yeah, I just double checked. I didn't see yours. I would just ask you if you would just double check and see that you sent it to all the correct email addresses.
I did it right from the website.
Okay.
All the addresses.
I'll check and see what mine says because I don't have it. But
I didn't hear back from even my own committee people.
well, if I didn't get it, maybe I'm just saying I don't have it. You didn't get it either. Yeah. So, all right. But thank you for letting us know.
Yes, when Peggy talked to me, I looked in my spam and I found it in spam. But I just found that a couple of days ago because I wasn't, so.
Hey, mayor comments?
Good evening, Morrisville. Hope everyone is having a great start to 2025 and staying warm during this extreme cold weather. During these chilly days, I encourage you to check in on your neighbors, especially our older residents, to ensure everyone is safe and comfortable. I also want to emphasize the importance of community vigilance. If you see something, say something. This is a new day for Morrisville, and as we move forward, we're leaving the past behind us and focusing on a brighter future for us all. Over the past month, the Morrisville Police Department has done an excellent job enforcing our road rules and ordinances. Their presence on South Pennsylvania Ave have been commendable as they have stopped numerous trucks that were not adhering to our road signs and regulations. Great job, Morrisville PD. Additionally, our police department, alongside our code officers and fire marshal, addressed a significant issue involving a business that had become a public nuisance, disrupting the quality of life of our residents. Thanks to their professionalism and dedication, this business has been held accountable and temporarily shut down until the necessary improvements are made. A big thank you to everyone involved for your hard work and commitment. And to our residents, thank you for speaking up and bringing this to our attention. It's because of your persistence that we could take action and resolve this issue. While we may not be able to address everything immediately, and some matters may require less attention, rest assured that your concerns are heard. Our mission is to improve the lives of our beloved residents and businesses every single day. Together, we will continue to make Morrisville a better place to live and work. Also, this past Friday, I had the pleasure of traveling down to Washington, D.C. to meet with other mayors who have joined the Mayor's Alliance to Stop Childhood Hunger. Since taking office, this initiative has been near and dear to my heart and something I wanted to do my part to help. It is great to see so many mayors across this country joining forces for such a great cause. Stay tuned for future initiatives as I work to bring this even bigger to Morrisville. Also, I would like to welcome a few new businesses. I know last month we had Ivy Rehab here who had joined our community. We also, along with President Helen and Councilwoman Melissa down there, we welcomed in another new business, All-Star Bagel down by the Giant on Trenton Ave. So welcome to our neighborhood. Also, all of council, Senator Steve Sensiciero, Jim Propropiak, and everyone. We were invited to a reception over at Concerto Fusion last Monday, and what a great event. Man Juan put on a wonderful event to show that he is back in business. He's here for the community. He welcomes you all back into his restaurant. So please visit him and go ahead and have a drink, have some food. His sushi bar is back up and running again. So thank you, Man Juan. And thank you. And let's keep moving forward with optimism and determination.
Thank you, Mayor. Very nice speech. And we did have a nice time at Concerto, and please visit. He was struggling for a long time after COVID, but his menu is back better than ever. Come up. Come on up, Jane.
Since you were talking about Concerto Fusion, the celebration of the Lunar New Year, you don't have to go to Philadelphia. Next Wednesday, the 29th, at Concerto Fusion from 6 to 9, serving 6 to 8. You just call them, make a reservation. They are recommended. The price is $27.99. Tax and gratuity and drinks are on your additional to that. So sorry I forgot to mention that when I was up before, but it will be a great evening. And yes, the sushi will be there that evening, I think, too. So come to Man Wong, Concerto Fusion next Wednesday.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Council comments?
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. Go ahead, Andrew.
To follow up on Mayor Gary's introduction, introducing new businesses to, thank you. To follow up with Mayor Gary's introducing new business in the Morrisville, we have E&M Barbershop filling in Morrisville Shopping Center next to where the old vape shop used to be, 1 East Trenton. Men's haircuts primarily. I think they do a good job. Doesn't take long to do mine. And then we have a new place moving to Sarah Elizabeth's old hair salon. They haven't finished turning over the business yet, but you're going to have a new women's salon starting about the 1st of February. So we're trading in, with the vape shop gone, we're trading in cigarettes for hair, so we're going to look better and we'll be healthier at the same time. And I've got some coupons here from E&M, 20% off, which I'll put up here for whoever wants them. So thank you. They're good people, and hope you patronize them.
What is the coupon for?
20% off.
Of what?
Of a haircut.
Oh, okay.
E&M Barbershop.
I pay by the hair.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No, you can't.
Anyone else on council? Oh, go ahead, Marie.
I just want to reiterate, even though I've been the council member for a year now, it is an honor for me to be here. And I just wanted to say, anybody in the 4th Ward has any problems or issues, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Sometimes I feel like I don't do enough. And it's mkelso, MBA@outlook.com. Again, for the 4th Ward, any problems or issues, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Marie. Just so everybody knows, all our email addresses are on the new website. It was on the old one as well, but you can reach out to any of us, no matter what ward you are. So even if you're in the 2nd Ward, you could reach out to Marie or whomever you'd like. Whoever's your favorite up here. Go ahead, Scott.
Next time it snows, I got a house in the 2nd Ward. You can go down and help shovel I live. Just limit it to the 4th Ward.
And I just have a question. A couple months ago, we had talked about the Sallyport design. Did we hear anything?
I meant to say that in my comments, but I forgot. So we had hired someone an architect to design a Sallyport for the officers. A Sallyport is where it's like a cage. The officer's car drives in. they're secure, the gates closed, the prisoner can't escape, and so then they brought into the building. So the architect reached out and they're starting their design of it. So they were kind of busy with the holidays, but they're in the process of designing it, and once it is, everyone on council will see it and they can add or their opinion to it. And of course, Chief, you will as well. I don't want to exclude you because you're the main user of it. Dennis, how are you doing tonight?
Great day.
Catherine? We heard from Melissa. Scott, you've been quiet.
I don't really have anything to say.
Marie, Andrew, Mayor talked enough. Randy's fine. All right, well then I don't have much else. Did I have anything else to say? No? All right, well then meeting, could I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Meeting is adjourned, 7:50 something, 7:59. Bye. Oh, Luke, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you. I forgot to call you for agenda items too.